Okay.
I got you 2 different doctor's appointments for you.
Okay, very good. This is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here. She would Samanakshi here in Zoom. This is our first year, preparation.
The number for the cake, but they're very sweet.
And if you have a siddur, I'm not sure if your siddur or your matzah for sukkahs, that your sukkahs, when you go into the sukkah the first time, there's a hirat son that you say. It's something which is unusual to the mitzvah sukkah, and it might take some time, worth a while to analyze that a bit. Let me see. I'll get it myself. The siddur should be in the siddur or in a matzah if we have the sukkahs.
Few more minutes.
So when you notice in your entrance to the sukkah, there's a fairly long prayer that we say. Some say, not if everybody says, but it's said. It'd be worthwhile in preparation for sukkah to start with that. So that's
okay. Hold on.
Enter the sukkah the first time, right? And usually they have like the Uzpizin after that and things like that there too. But you notice where it says there, it says Hiratzon. It's a fairly nice paragraph of the Hiratzon prayer, right? It's worthwhile when we do that.
I'm going to farewell to the sukkah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I see farewell to the sukkah, but I don't see anything about entering the sukkah.
So that should be before then. If
Is it part of the kiddush, you think?
It'll be before Kiddush probably. Look by Kiddush. That's a good place to start. Look by the Kiddush.
Oh, so okay.
Look by Kiddush in the sukkah.
Uzpizin. Oh, hold it up. I think is it part of Uzpizin?
It's before the Uzpizin, usually before the Uzpizin.
Before.
It's right there. You're right that's the locality you want to find it. Right there.
Yeah, because I have
Or Akdamus?
Nope, not there.
No, before that I had Pesach.
No. You want Kiddush for the sukkah. Are you using a siddur or using a matzah?
Siddur.
I'm using a moxer and I can't find it.
So where's Kiddush for the going to the sukkah? You should have Kiddush there.
Okay.
After Myra. After Myra.
I have the kiddush for the sukkah.
Okay, so I have Kiddush.
I've got here sort of blessed art you, etc., who has sanctified with his commandments and has commanded us to dwell in the sukkah. But it's not specifically that he would sound.
Should be before that, Roy, a little bit before that.
Kiddush for sukkah. Yom HaShishi, Sukkah Barana, Rabbanon, Rabbasai. No.
Is it before the Kiddush for the sukkah, maybe, perhaps?
Uzpizin.
Yeah, that's what I have before the Kiddush.
Before the Uzpizin. You have the Uzpizin?
I have nothing before that. They have
Shavuos, Aktamus.
No.
Right.
Okay, no, okay.
Exactly what Roy has.
Okay, so they
Adon Olam.
they didn't put that in. All right, well, maybe we'll save that for tomorrow then. Okay, look, okay, we'll try something else then. Now, actually, well, I'll tell you, everyone sees the Uzpizin. Let's do the Uzpizin. Why not? We'll start with the Uzpizin. So, what's the whole concept of the Uzpizin? That as Firstly, let's take a look at the order. What is it? Let's see, what does it say exactly? Let's try to understand what it says.
I
Let's start
invite
reading.
by mail the exalted guests Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, Moshe, Aaron, and David.
Yeah, right. Now, what's this? We have to try to understand what this is all about exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, I've never understood it.
All right. Do we read this, what the art scroll says? It's a longish sort of thing.
What do they explain? Go ahead, Roy.
The Zohar teaches that for dwelling faithfully in the sukkah, in their sukkahs, the people of Israel merit the privilege of inviting and welcoming the Shekhinah, Hashem's presence, and the 7 faithful shepherds who descended from their heavenly abode in Gan Eden, and enter these sukkahs as exalted Uzpizin, or guests. So the word Uzpizin means guests or something.
Yeah. Uzpizin means guests, exactly.
All right, can I say an Uzpizin Cheder Uzpizin, a guest room?
Could be, maybe. Could be.
There they observe how the descendants fulfill the mitzvah of sukkah dwelling under Hashem's protection. These 7 faithful shepherds of Israel are Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, Moshe, Aaron, and David HaMelech. All 7 guests are in every sukkah throughout the 7 days of the festival, but on each day, one of them leads the others as the guest of honor. For example, on the first day, Abraham leads the other 6, and that day is referred to as Uzpizin of Abraham. On the second day, Yitzchak leads the others, and the day being referred to as the Uzpizin of Yitzchak, and so on, until the Shanas Rabbah, when King David is the guest of honor. Customs regarding the invitation and associated prayers differ. Some recite the full text as presented here, while others include or omit various paragraphs. Additionally, some repeat the invitations and prayers before each meal, while others recite them only once every day. A third difference concerns the order of the Uzpizin. The order given here follows the Sklar, who places the Uzpizin in chronological order. Yosef preceding Moshe and Aaron according to the Kabbalistic teaching of Arizal. Moshe and Aaron should precede Joseph according to the Kabbalistic teaching of the Arizal. Thus, on the 4th day, Moshe and the leader of the Uzpizin, on the 5th day, Aaron, on the 6th day, Yosef, and the wording of the invitations are altered accordingly. A full commentary on the Uzpizin appears in the Art Scroll Succos, its significance, laws, and prayers. There you are. Who's got that? You've got that, have you, Maria?
I'll go look and see if I have it.
I don't know what the art scroll on Sukkah. I have something very interesting because each of these forefathers have what they call a sephira. They stand for something.
Okay.
So for example, Abraham stands for Chesed. Yitzchak stands for Gevura. Yaakov stands for Tiferet. Moshe stands for Netzach. Aaron stands for Hod. Yosef stands for Yesod. And David stands for Malchut, which makes sense.
Mhm.
It makes sense. Good, very good.
Okay, so you say art scroll on Sukkah. See if
Yeah,
I-
the Art Scroll Sukkah Machzor.
Yeah, I don't have it.
I've got one, but I thought, I don't know if, will I get it? Or is,
It might help, yeah, sure.
it's a huge volume. I don't know how
Oh,
you can
is it?
hold it. Oh, I don't know how you can hold it on the extra.
Oh, if it's huge, I don't think I have it either.
All right. So in any event, we see that these are actual guests. The invitation is a real invitation, and the visitation is a real visitation, and so we need to. It's worthwhile to prepare for that. I mean, it's just like why are the Avos Avram, it's like Yaakov, Moshe, and Aaron, Yosef, and David. Why should they visit our sukkahs? And seems a minor thing that
Yeah,
the sukkah, which is a very basic, simple.
because they don't have, what's it?
Yeah, go ahead. What do you say, Rick?
They don't have, overview, here it is. Overview, spiritual overtones, significance of seasons, message of sukkahs, memorial of the past, completion, unity of sport for species, the closing celebration, an overview, the Hoshana service, history regained, periods of judgment, man speech, deed, Jericho, and the nations. I can't do it. Community series, Hoshana Rava, community series, Simplest Torah and Shavuos, everyone's celebrations, like Paphos. Doesn't say anything about. I think where the Uzpizin will be, will be where the commentary, I think, will be there. You have to find the Uzpizin.
All right. So this is just the fact that the Uzpizin are there are coming. This is simply a outcome of the fact that the Shekhinah is there. Right, the Shekhinah is what is making this all happen. That the sukkah is representative of the Shekhinah dwelling amongst the Jewish people. The skach is representative of the Anani covered, which we had in the midbar, which is a Kadosh Baruch Hu's present protection for Klal Yisrael, each an individual during the travels in the midbar. And when the Shekhinah is there, so that's a connection that we have and we share each other with our relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, with the Shekhinah, the presence of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And the skach is symbolic of the Nani covered, the Shekhinah, its protection and its endearment of the Kadosh Baruch Hu to Klal Yisrael, representative of that relationship. So once you have that relationship, so then it's a consequential thing that the Avos, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, Tzadik, Moshe, Aaron, Cohen, and David Melech would all fit in. So the invitation of the Uzpizin is something which is a reinforcement in this concept, which was supposed to be living and incorporating into the fulfillment of the mitzvah of living in the sukkah, is this fact that the Shekhinah is with us. And that's a direct outcome of what we were accomplishing and doing on Yom Kippur.
He's got a note here about
Yeah, go ahead.
well, the art scroll. It's customary to invite and welcome 7 exalted Uzpizin guests to join us. Okay, so they said that the custom is based on a passage of Zohar. When a man sits in the sukkah, quote, the shade of the faithfulness, Tsela Umahib Nusa. No, Dimhamunusa.
Is there a translation for that?
I think it's a shade of faithfulness.
Yeah. The Benus is trust faith, right?
All right. So the shade of faithfulness, the Shekhinah, spreads its wings over him from above, and ... it's got here. Abraham, 5 other righteous ones, and King David make their dwelling with him. There's some more dots, an ellipsis. Those 3 dots is called an ellipsis. Thus a person should rejoice with shining countenance each and every day of the festival, together with these guests who take lodging with him. Upon entering the sukkah, Rav Hamnuna Sava would rejoice and stand inside the doorway, say, let us invite the guests and prepare the table. Then he would remain on his feet and bless them, saying, in sukkahs you shall dwell. Be seated, exalted guests, be seated. Be seated, guests of faithfulness, be seated. That's what we say. He would then raise his hands and enjoy and say, worthy is our portion, worthy is the portion of Israel, as it is written in Deuteronomy 32:9, for Hashem's portion of his people. Then he would sit down. That's from the Zohar, Emor 103b. So, however, the blessings to be gained by inviting the exalted Uzpizin to join us must be activated by our own conduct, by the acts of kindness and charity that we ourselves perform. Indeed, the passage cited above goes on to say that the portions of food one would normally serve the honored Uzpizin should be distributed among the poor, preferably as guests in one's own sukkah. Moreover, if one scrupulously serves and gladdens his guests, then God himself rejoices with him. Abraham blesses the host. You shall be granted delight with Hashem, says Abraham in Isaiah.
That's the consequence. See, the invitation of the Uzpizin, that you see a parallel concept that you see in Birkas Hamazon, right? When it comes to if you have guests, so the one who's the host, he is the one who makes a motzi. He says a motzi, and he cuts the bread and distributes the bread because it's his bread, so he's going to do it generously. When it comes to Birkas Hamazon, so Birkas Hamazon, the guest is supposed to make the blessings of Birkas Hamazon because he's going to bless especially the balabas.
Mm-hmm.
So you see this concept of the person who is the guest blesses the host.
So, right, so Abraham, who's the guest then, blesses his host. And with a blessing you shall be granted delight with Hashem. Yitzhak proclaims, mighty in the land will be his offspring be. It's in him. Yaakov says, then shall your light burst forth just like the dawn. It's in Yeshaya. The other righteous ones, Moshe, Aaron, and Joseph.
Again, I'm sorry, read that last paragraph, 2 sentences again, where I missed that last point. Isaiah says, Yitzhak proclaims,
mighty in the land will his offspring be. That's in Tehillim. Yaakov says, then shall your light burst forth, just like the dawn. That's again in Isaiah. The other righteous ones, Moshe, Aaron, and Yosef, say, Hashem will forever lead you, and he will satisfy you. Also in Isaiah. King David proclaims, any weapons that are honed against you shall not succeed. Also is Isaiah. Praises to the portion of the person worthy of all this. Praises to the portion of the righteous in this world and in the world to come. About them it is written, regarding your nations, all of them are righteous. So Zohar, Emerald 104a.
Right. So you
Yeah.
see, go ahead. Yeah, what else did it say?
We'll just a bit here that customs regarding invitation, associated prayers differ, and it goes into the customs. And then in Succos shall you dwell, in order that your generations may know. He talks about that, and other phrases that he picks out from the Uzpizin. We say that
This is an exercise in our faith and trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? That one of the purposes of the explanations of the mitzvah of Sukkah is, especially now that the weather is beginning to change. It's the tail end of the summer, and it's the time for rains to start to come soon. And now specifically, we are going out and living in very primitive conditions, very non-protective conditions compared to the security and strength of our homes that we live in normally during the rest of the year. And this is something going out into the sukkah. So the Torah, the poskim explained that in general, people would go out in earlier times. They would go out from their normal dwellings in the beginning of the summertime because they would want to live outside when they have fresh air and sunshine, when they do most of their activities and live outside in what we call sukkahs. And that would take place in Nisan. That would take place in shortly after Pesach, because that would be the beginning of the summertime, especially here in Israel. So we, however, are given the command to go into Sukkot, specifically now when it's the beginning of the rainy season, and show our faith and trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Then He will protect us from the elements, in spite of the fact that we're now risking going out and living amongst the elements, rain and wind and such, getting cooler. And this is, the Torah explains, this is specifically done in Tishrei, the end of the summer, rather than Nisan, because if it was done in Nisan, because really Sukkot is one of the things that is associated with Sukkah is it's Zechel Etzias Mitzrayim, that this is a commemoration of Hashem's taking us out of Egypt, and therefore, by right, as I mentioned, this commemoration should be made at the beginning of the summer, when we came out of Mitzrayim. Hashem took us out in the summertime when it was nice and pleasant to go out. It wasn't difficult weather conditions when we came out of Mitzrayim. Hashem took us out in time when it was pleasant. And so we should really be, in all honesty, be going out into our sukkahs in Nisan, shortly after Pesach, or even during Pesach. But however, Hashem wanted it to be known that we, the Jews, are doing this, going out into sukkahs and leaving our homes, because this is command from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If we would be going out into the sukkah, so Hashem gave us the command of going out into our sukkahs in Nisan, the beginning of the summer, it wouldn't be apparent and recognizable that we're doing this as a command of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It would be something which everybody, all the people are doing that for the sake of the convenience of their summer pleasantries to live outside into the cool shade of their sukkah rather than on the dismal dwellings that they lived in during the rest of the year of the winter time, protect them from the cold and the rain and the wind. But now everyone's going out into the sukkah in the springtime, in the summertime. Here, if we would do that, it wouldn't be apparent, recognizable that we're doing that as the command of Hashem. So therefore, we're commanded to go out into the sukkah in Tishrei when people are really going back into their homes. And here now we are going outside into the elements, braving the elements, so to speak, because that's the command of Kadosh Baruch Hu. When it's apparent and visible, recognizable for everyone to see that the Jews are going out and they're doing this mitzvah, not because it's a time to go out into the sukkahs and enjoy the nice weather in a sukkah, but rather we're doing it because this is a command from Hashem, and that's what he wants. So we're doing this as a fulfillment of the command of Hashem. And that's also important when you're building the sukkah. When you're building the sukkah, especially putting on the skach, you should be putting on the skach, the Shem Mitzvah sukkah. There should be no mistake that you're doing perhaps simply a building of a structure. And no, you're doing it specifically in order to fulfill the mitzvah of Hashem. Okay. What other explanations do they have? Do you see?
There's a whole thing to say for Uzpizin, several paragraphs, and our scroll extracts, as he does with all the other Tehillim and whatever, I guess a word or a phrase and gives an explanation of it. He gives one about in Succos shall you dwell in order that your generations may know. He doesn't make the whole lot. He just be seated. ... His heritage. Nasalta. I'll be seated, exalted. Yes. Oh, anyway, and there's for the sake of the unification, a commentary on that, and may establish our handiwork for us. Literally, it says upon us. There's a commentary about that. And you spread over us a sukkah of your peace in the merit of the mitzvah of sukkah that we are fulfilling. And there are a few more such examples of what they do.
Right. So there's quite a lot of depth to this mitzvah of sukkah.
Yes.
Right? It's not simply not a one-dimensional mitzvah. It has many dimensions to it.
Right. There's a chart here, the order of the Uzpizin. If you go by the Uzpizin, or if you go by Sephira emanations.
Yeah.
So I think we did a few minutes ago.
Right.
And then it's got the Uzpizin itself. I suppose it's a bracha. It's not a bracha.
Is it a bracha? What would you call it? We mentioned the fact that it's an invitation.
Yes, in English it's Master of all the worlds, may it be your will that this mitzvah of dwelling in the sukkah be reckoned before you as if I had fulfilled it in all its details and implications, as well as the 613 mitzvahs that are dependent upon it. Would it be 612 mitzvahs?
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point. Yeah.
As well as the 600, I've lost, right, 13 mitzvahs that are dependent upon it, and as if I had concentrated upon all the intentions which the men of the Great Assembly concentrated upon regarding it. And then it gives you the two choices of the two orders, the Sira order and the chronological order, to stay on each day.
Right. So how are you going to pick? How are you going to go to chronological order or the spirit order?
I think we do the chronological order.
Mhm. Okay, that's reasonable. Sure.
Well, it's probably just as good as someone saying I do the Sphera order, and that's just as good as someone saying I do the chronological order. I do
Right.
the Sphera order. So whichever you do, it's fine.
Yeah. So okay. So this is clarified a little bit of the background of the mitzvah sukkah and Uzpizin, right? That see, the sukkah is a symbolic. It's actually more than symbolic. It's an actual. That's the unique thing about the sukkah. The sukkah is not only a symbolic, but it's also an actual act of faith. It's a mitzvah of faith. It's a mitzvah of emunah b'tocha, right? That especially you should know, not every place is so safe to make a sukkah. Actually, that's one of the you have to you can't build a sukkah in an unsafe place. Meaning, if it's in specifically unsafe, meaning, let's say you couldn't build a sukkah on a railroad track, right? Because it's not going to last. And likewise, you can't build a sukkah in an unpleasant place. Like let's say there's an open sewer cesspool. You can't build a sukkah next to a cesspool. Because why? Because a sukkah has to be the expression that the Gemara uses ke'ein tiduru. Ke'ein, just like Shabbos is me'ein olam haba. Shabbos is me'ein olam haba. So the sukkah is ke'ein tidiru. It's as if it's like you live in your house. Just as you live in your house, right? You live in the sukkah. Meaning, just as you would not build a house on a railroad track, you would not build a house next to a cesspool because it's then impossible to live in those situations, right? So that's not a house. It's not considered a house. A person would build a house next to a cesspool. That's not considered a dwelling place. So therefore, the sukkah, just as like it is your dwelling place, just as you dwell in your house, you should dwell in the sukkah, right? And therefore, you should build a sukkah in ways and places that is conducive to dwelling, living. And if it's lacking that, it's not fulfilling the mitzvah. Right? So the act of faith which accompanies the mitzvah of sukkah, which doesn't normally accompany other mitzvahs to such an extent, is that, as we mentioned, the weather is changing, the time of year is not conducive to going out and living in meager huts. Nevertheless, we go out and we prepare to do the mitzvah, and we hope and pray that Hashem will protect us, just as He protect us in coming out of Mitzrayim. Right? We appreciate Hashem's power that sailed in the moose, and it's the shadow of our faith. Meaning that our faith, the shadow of our faith is the sukkah, meaning the sukkah is the manifestation of our faith, our trust in Hashem, right? So when we are manifesting our faith in Hashem, so therefore we have the right now that the great Uzpizin, Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu, Moshe Rabbeinu, Aaron HaKohen, Yosef HaTzadik, and David HaMelech, they all have we now have the ability to invite them into our sukkah in the merit of our trust in Hashem, just as we trust in Hashem, right? So we're showing our faith in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and that's a manifestation of how we trust Hashem, and there through that manifestation we merit that the Uzpizin will come and join us as well. Okay. Good. Any questions on this so far?
Yeah. I have difficulty relating to this because there's no evidence that the Uzpizin are there. And I invite them, and then we go ahead and we have our meal or whatever. Now you couldn't say, well, there's no evidence that Hashem is there either, but that's not true. There is evidence in the world of Hashem. There's Hashkaka Pratis. There's things that happen, coincidences that we ascribe to the involvement of Hashem in our lives. So I don't have a problem, with the idea that the Shekhinah is there, but I can't relate to the idea that the Uzpizin are there. There's absolutely no ramifications to that.
So okay, first of all, I mean, I understand the difficulty you have with that. That's a symptom of gullus, that over the 2,000 years we've been in gullus, so our Torah minds have been tainted by the false ideas of the goyim. One of them is empiricism, that you have to have physical proof for everything, which is not true. You don't have to have physical proof for anything, and that's a symptom of gullus. But nevertheless, since we suffer from that, so the way to approach the question is that we have these Uzpizin, and when a person is on the level of the Avraham Avinu, Yaakov Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, Moshe Rabbeinu, Aaron HaKohen, Yosef HaTzadik, and David HaMelech, they through their lives brought into the world a presence of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. A person through his activities in life can bring into this world the presence of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. That you're right, the Kadosh Baruch Hu's, you'll say that there's evidence of a Kadosh Baruch Hu throughout the universe, you look into the physical universe, the magnificent heavens above, you look into the microscopic worlds below, within, and you'll see the wisdom of the Kadosh Baruch Hu and all of the various different things which point to a wisdom which is divine, beyond all comprehension that we could ever imagine. And we'll see, okay, verily that is a evidence of the Creator, and the constant belief that we have that Hashem is with us, He sustains us and provides for us. But each one of these Uzpizin on a very high level, there are other people, tzaddikim in every generation do the same thing. They bring into the world they focus our attention on Kadosh Baruch Hu as being an actual metzius, actual existence. And so they, in the merit of doing those things, they also are attaching themselves to Kadosh Baruch Hu. So the way of understanding this is if you lived in the time of Rome, right, and if you were walking on the street and all of a sudden you saw an imperial Roman sentry walking on the road, right, so you would be afraid of the Empire of Rome, right? If you're driving on the New Jersey Parkway, and there's a state police, right, in a patrol car following you, so you all of a sudden have a fear of the state of New Jersey. If it happens to be a federal vehicle, okay, so we have a fear of the federal government. So true, we don't have any physical attachment to the Uzpizin. Nevertheless, if we believe that a Kadosh Baruch was with us in the sukkah, so they who were instrumental in bringing the Shekhinah, the presence of the Kadosh Baruch into this world during their lives, so it's a corollary that we believe that they're too, that they are Kadosh Baruch Hu, they're the entourage of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. They are the, so to speak, the state police of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? So just like it's enough to see a flag and you understand that you're in the state of New Jersey, you see a flag, you now understand you're in the state of Florida. And if you see that emblem on the side of a car, so you realize it's an official car of the state of Florida, it's official emblem of the state of New Jersey on a car, you realize it's an official car of the state government of New Jersey. Likewise, just the mentioning Avram Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu, Moshe Rabbeinu, Aaron HaKohen, Yosef Tzaddik, and David HaMelech, just the mention of these names and understanding who these people were, that automatically brings you to an association with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And if Kadosh Baruch was there, then they're the automatically. If just like we had Achashverosh, right? Achashverosh has his big party for 180 days. So he invited all the nobility, all the officials of all the various different countries. The king, when the king's celebrating, the king celebrates with his loved ones, with his most honored subjects, with his most devout and loyal subjects. So here, Kadosh Baruch Hu is celebrating with us in the sukkah. So it's only logical that the ones who Hashem loves most of all, meaning the Uzpizin, should be there with him, right? So if we believe that Kadosh Baruch Hu is there, so his entourage is also there. But again, for those who have been, heavily influenced by empiricism, it's a hard thing to swallow. But nevertheless, we have these opportunities, especially on Sukkos, to try and shed some of those Golos mentalities, which we pick up, unfortunately, through the 2,000 years we've been stuck in Golos. And someone asked me a few weeks ago if I think there's any contradiction, if there's other life and if there's life in space, right? So I didn't answer him right away, but I was thinking about it, and then actually, if there would be intelligent life in space, I think it would be very good, actually, because they probably wouldn't be influenced by all the idiocies of Darwin and all the other stupidities of our life that we've been living 2,000 years in Gullus. And if they were free from all these stupidities, they would probably admit very clearly and absolutely that there's a Kadosh Baruch Hu, without all the idiocies of Gullus that they aren't exposed to. So I think
they might have their own idiocies.
Well, excuse me.
They might have their own idiocies.
Yeah, but at least they won't have ours. It's like somebody. At least they won't have ours. Anyway, we can continue tomorrow. I guess our time is up now for now, and
Yeah,
hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. I mean, I have time, Leonard, this afternoon. I'll try and supply you with some written information to work on. Leonard, as I should.
Thank you.
Okay.